All right, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Toon podcast. We are the Southern Hemisphere's best and only, we think, Newcastle United-based podcast. Today I've got Keegan with me, and we are going to talk about the breaking news of the bid we've just made for James Maddison of Leicester City. How are you doing, Keegan?
Yeah, better than I was 3 or 4 days ago, that's for sure.
Yeah, Keegan's got COVID, so he's a little bit out under the weather, and he's decided to jump on this pod with me. We don't normally do this type of thing with breaking transfers or any bids or anything, but this is quite a big one, so I thought we'd jump on and do this one. Shouldn't take too long with only the one player to go through. But first of all, Keegan, what's your thoughts on the value of the bid? 40 million, which was first reported about 2 hours ago from the Telegraph. And do you see him as a valuable player if Newcastle could get him?
Yeah, to answer your first question, 40 million, it's a negotiation, isn't it? Really, you go in low, they're up high, you meet in the middle somewhere. I don't think anyone really gets their first bid accepted. So 40 million is a good starting point. Yeah, hopefully, like we spoke with Andy last week, he did mention he thinks there's a marquee in the works, and he thinks that it happened before the end of the window. And I wonder if this is the one.
Would you consider Maddison to be a marquee signing if we could get him?
If you're paying, we're going to be around 50 plus, isn't it? I think that's how much it's going to take to get him. Yeah, I think 50 million probably puts you in the marquee player bracket.
I'd say so as well, but you've got to think, does he come with the English player tax? You know, if he was French or Italian or Spanish, do you think his value would be so high?
Oh, it's the double tax. It's the Newcastle tax and the English tax. But, I mean, it's a safe spend, if you know what I mean. Like 40 million for Joel Linton at the time wasn't a safe spend. And I think with what they've done over the last 2 windows, I guess, most of the signings have been safe signings, haven't they? Like Trippier, Burn, Target, Wood, who else? Pope. English players, know the league, know the climate, know the country, very little risk involved. Although there wasn't much outlay for them, I think they're going to predominantly try and stick to what they know and stuff like that, rather than spend big on players who might not work. I mean, I think, so Bruno was the last window. Botman was probably the one this window as well. But I think they're going to try and sort of stick to what they know. And if they might think of it as, yeah, we might have to pay a little bit more, but there's a lot less risk involved with someone like that.
Do you think this bid comes off the back of Shelby picking up an injury, or would you say we're quite covered in that place? We just want a bit of extra quality.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Like I thought we've got it. Well, we've got enough players, but have we got enough of the good players? Like that's the question. I mean, if he's more of an attacking midfielder, Eddie seems to play with like maybe a 1 holding or a 2 holding and one a bit more advanced. So maybe he's happy with a Bruno playing as that holding midfielder, as he's sort of more known for, and play a bit deeper when he's got a quality player like Maddison who can actually get up the field and still do that as well. I mean, some of his goal involvement records over the last few years have been a lot, well, not even close to anything that anyone on our teams produced. So it may be, that's the way forward. Safe signing, safe as in you know what you're going to get. And, I think it's great, but it's not my money.
Yeah. Well, again, it all comes down to, is this loan that was mentioned a few days ago, it wonders if this come off the back end of that, and whether he was already a player they were interested in, but was maybe pushed to the back of the queue. But again, with Shelby getting injured, he's then been bumped up that queue, and we've now got the funds to do so. It's a strange bid because we don't necessarily need a player in that position. There's heavily rumour we need a right wing and a striker. Those two are the positions we definitely need filled. So in number 10, yeah, there's been talks of Paqueta, Bruno's best friend, coming in. But I think if we get Maddison, then Paqueta is going to be a distant memory, to be honest. Because as we know, Maddison, he's Premier League tried and tested. His goals record last season across all competitions, for those who didn't know, he made, I'm pretty sure, 53 appearances. So that's across the league, the FA Cup, the League Cup, and the appearances in Europe. So 53. He scored 12 and created 18 goals. That's 30 goals involvements in just 53 appearances. For an attacking midfielder, that's impressive. A striker would have probably impressed with that, would you say?
Absolutely, yeah. We'd bite a striker's hand off if they could give us some numbers like that at the moment. So, but yeah, it's really, that Paqueta stuff is really interesting, isn't it? Like, if it was a position that we were in, like, and we've bid 40 already, I mean, I don't think we're going to bid 40 and stop. I think we'll put another improved offer in. Like, if they really wanted Paqueta, they would have bid on him. Like, that's how I see this as well. Like, it's not even if it was a sort of must because Shelby's injured, or they're still in the market for that winger and striker, and they've seen this quality player potentially become available, and they want to dip their fingers into that as well. But yeah, I think that puts to bed any rumor or any talk of Paqueta or us being involved in Paqueta at all, because yeah, we probably could have got him for 40 million, to be honest, couldn't we?
Yeah, I think we would have. And I think it's all come from a little bit of lazy journalism, because he is Bruno's friend and he was spotted in the Northeast. And it's just an easy story to write that we're interested in this player because he's come to visit his friend on Tyneside.
Yeah.
Which, it kind of baffles me in the whole transfer window, because we've been linked with every player and their dog. And we probably will be right up until the window closes. And then the whole shenanigan will start on the 1st of January again. But this one here, this is a very
November. It won't start in January.
We saw way before that one, actually. Yeah. But this potential bid, this confirmed bid, effectively for Maddison, it's very exciting because he's only 25 years old. He's probably in the prime of his career. He scores goals. He creates goals. The one thing that Jack, who's another member of the pod, he potentially questioned his attitude. Now, would you like to think that Ashworth and Howe have done their due diligence and made sure there's no issues with that at all before they've even thought about making a bid?
I think they'd do that with any player, not just James Maddison, but any player that they're actually going to put a bid, not a proper serious bid in for. He would have had to tick all their boxes before they've gone, yeah, okay, let's put a number in here. Like, the amount of work they've done. And I think in January that whole philosophy actually kept us up. Like, they brought in as good a players as they all were, and they all done their role and kept us up. I actually think the character thing was more important than anything they brought on the pitch. Like, they brought into everything. They brought into the ethos that had already existed long before they got there. And then they've all come together and started taking the club forward as well. And if they didn't think that James Maddison was going to fit in, I don't think they would have bid for him. And I think that could be part of the time it's taking to get new players in, is the amount of due diligence they're going to do on these players before they get them in, because they don't want one bad apple coming in here and upsetting the whole apple cart. You know what I mean? So, yeah, if they've put a bid in, I trust that they've done all their due diligence on the player, and they think he's going to be a good fit, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I've got absolute faith in Howe and Ashworth to do the right thing and bring the right players in. There's a great group of players there, and the harmony is all there to see. Just in the social media footage of them on the mountain bikes in pre-season when they went go-karting, and Wee Man won the go-karting competition, I think it was. It was great to see, because they're all laughing, they're all carrying on. You can tell the group is together, and like I say, they wouldn't want one person to come in and just piss on that bonfire and ruin it all. I think it could be a very, very smart acquisition. And I think 40 million is a little bit weak for that type, but I wonder if we can get it there. A few extra million quid in there, but chucking a few bonuses maybe, that could do it.
Yeah.
But also, Leicester's finances aren't great right now. So maybe this is another reason why we went in with a bid, because they know they've got to raise cash before they can actually buy players. And Maddison is pretty much their star player, and he's probably going to bring in the most funds of any of the players as well. Do you think that could be another reason why we've thrown this cheeky bid in?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, even I've had a lot of time on my hands the last few days, so I was reading Leicester, and there's another obscure club, I can't remember their name. They're the only two players who have actually enhanced their first team in the whole of Europe this off-season. So clearly there's some kind of financial problems going on. Brendan Rodgers has said he wanted to sign up to 7 new players to try and replenish the squad and stuff like that. But the funds obviously aren't there at the moment. So I can see them digging their heels in a little bit, trying to squeeze the lemon as much as they can for their own benefit to try and get some players in and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you might be right, Craig. I think maybe around a 50 in add-ons might get it done. Now, they might not go there straight away. They might go to 45 in add-ons, then end up with somewhere around 50 as well. But as well, you could think of it like this, like from our point of view, just like last year, pardon me, with Chris Wood, we sort of weakened our relegation rivals by signing him. Paying that little bit extra and signing Maddison, that could weaken another rival who's potentially around the same area of the table as us as well.
That's a cracking point, to be honest. Yeah, we did do that for Wood. And Leicester could also be losing Tielemans this season as well. He's got a year left to go, so if he goes, that's Leicester significantly weakened.
They've actually got a lot of players with a year to go. I think Vardy as well.
Yeah.
Schmeichel left during the week too.
Yeah, Southern France. I think he's went to Nice.
Yeah, so they're starting with 3 weeks left, maybe. Is that how much? 3 weeks left of the window? I mean, yeah, if they're gonna start bringing players in, they've got to start getting them out so they can start getting the players in as well. I mean, if they lose their first couple of games or don't get results in their first couple of games, it's going to be on like Donkey Kong down at the King Power, I think.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting probably 72 hours, because I'd imagine they want to get this deal wrapped up quick. Ashworth, we know, likes to work quick, so he'll be on that phone, no doubt, to the King Power to see what number it will take to get him over the line. And there's talk that the player does want to come. There's nothing in that confirmed. This is, again, all social media talk, so take that with a pinch of salt. But you'd like to think you could see the project that Botman's talked about for a while, and when Newcastle could head, because it does seem to be that Newcastle are going on the up and Leicester maybe on the way down. Is that a fair assessment of the two clubs?
Yeah, that's what I think. That was what I was alluding to, that without them getting new players in and stuff like that, he might see the writing on the wall. You know what I mean? Like, what's it going to be like here next year or the year after? Like, are we going to go down because we're not spending any money? We're not improving. Like, they've spent all that, like 100 million on the training ground. The training ground looks amazing. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, would you rather spend that 100 million on improving your team?
Like, it's going to be an exciting few days for us Newcastle fans, maybe a few nervy ones for the Leicester fans, because they obviously wouldn't want to sell because he is such a quality player. But what I'm going to do now is just to give an idea of how good this player is, how good James Maddison is. Bring up a little slide here. So this is his Premier League statistics since he joined from Coventry. I think it was 2-3 years ago for a 25. Norwich, signed for 25 million, but he's Coventry born. So you can see there he's got 33 goals in 133 appearances, but he's also got 23 assists there. So that's 55 goals he's accounted for in just 133 appearances for an attacking midfielder. That is one hell of a record, and it's consistent as well. What do you think of that, Keegan?
Yeah, well, his numbers are a lot better than we've got at the moment, isn't he? So, like, that's what I mean. Like, it is a bit. a bit of an English tax, and it's obviously going to be a bit of a Newcastle tax on top, but you know what you're going to get, don't you? Like there's always risk, but there's a lot lower risk with someone like James Maddison compared to someone else they might bring in from overseas and stuff like that. So, yeah, I think it's good money.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, these stats here, it just shows how predominantly right-footed he is, but he does like to play on the left a little, so he'll probably cut in. So of the 33 goals he's scored, 24 with his right foot and 9 with his left. He scored 1 penalty and 6 free kicks. He's yet to score a headed goal in the Premier League, which for an attacking midfielder, you can kind of guess why, but he's probably not known for his aerial ability. One key thing that I want to point out here as well is his passes per match. Now, we want to play more fluid on the floor attacking football. And when you're averaging 36 passes per game, that just molds into the type of football that we want to play. And all those passes you'd imagine would be passes forward in an attacking fluid motion.
Yeah, well, like we said, like Howe and Ashworth have definitely done their work. Maybe we're probably not doing Steve Nixon and Andy Howe enough justice. They're probably the ones who are going through all the tape, and they might get the brief from Eddie Howe as to what type of player he wants, but they're the ones who actually go to work and find the players and recommend them and stuff like that. So, yeah, credit to them that they've been able to identify this guy. My only concern is the way it's been leaked out to the media. The way that we've operated this off-season, it's completely the opposite of how we've gone about our business. So that's the sort of the worry I've got is why and how did this get out? Because I know we wouldn't have leaked it out because that's not where we're not about that. So have Leicester leaked it out, trying to get some other clubs into a bidding war as well. Like there's always reasons why these things happen and who leaks them, and it's not us. That's the last thing we want to do is get into a bidding war with people. We want to sort of get the best deal possible for us. So yeah, that's my only little, I don't know, my little asterisk on this is why and how did this get out and who did it?
The other two teams that have potentially been linked with them this window is Spurs. They're quite all right for attacking players. I can't see him going there, to be honest, because he might get limited game time, squad rotation, that sort of thing. And Man United have just signed Eriksen, so I can't see him going there either, unless, again, he wants to fight for his space. But we've had a little chat in our own little WhatsApp group. We imagine that with Shelby being injury, Maddison would pretty much walk into that starting 11 in that midfield with Bruno and Big Joe, you reckon?
I think he'd walk in even if Shelby wasn't injured. You're not going to just purely on the price. You're not paying $50 million for someone to sit on the bench. And I think, although John Joe, can credit to him, has got himself in fantastic shape this offseason, it's probably the best I've ever seen him while he's been at our club. But I think he could be a very valuable player off the bench later in games with tiring defenses, trying to pick passes out and stuff like that, drop balls over the top for ASM against tired wingers while he's fresh. And I think he has struggled at times when teams have pressed him and he sort of hasn't been given that time on the ball to get his head up and pick a pass. And I mean, if he comes on as a sub, teams are going to be a lot more tighter in the 70th minute and he'll have a bit more time on the ball. And we know his quality when he's got time. So I think he could be a very dangerous sub. And I mean, you can still bring on Willock, who's an absolute workhorse, Longstaff as well. Like we've actually got some good versatile options to come on off the bench with 5 subs now this season. So I'd have no trouble telling John Joe this could be your role. And I think there's going to be a few weeks before the World Cup as well with a bit of condensed games and stuff like that. So if we can get more quality with squad rotation. I think that was my probably biggest fear during the season was if we have to sort of rotate around a fair bit, we still don't have that depth coming through.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, if we get if Shelby has to play a game, look, I haven't got a problem with that at all. It's just Maddison, Bruno, and Big Joe are probably a lot better three than what John Joe is at this stage of his career.
It also brings the average age of that midfield down as well, because Shelby he's on the negative side of 30 now, and Madison's 25. Bruno and Joe are around a similar age as well. Longstaff and Willock. I think Willock's the youngest out of the five of them. I think Willock's maybe 21, 22. So that average age is something we've wanted to bring down. That's been well documented. And you have those three there, you just entering the prime or very close to it, and they're only going to get better, those three as well, which, I mean, we're talking as if he's already signed. He obviously hasn't, but the potential he could bring to us with Bruno and Big Joe would be phenomenal.
Yeah, and they sort of cover everything now, don't they? Like the three of them with all their different sort of attributes and skill sets and stuff like that, they sort of cover a lot. I mean, Bruno's a wizard. He can do everything. Joel Linton's in your face, win the ball back. Maddison's really attacking mind, a really creative player as well. I mean, you sort of cover a lot of bases through that midfield three, and I think it's a really, really a good balance as well.
Yeah, could be a very, very smart acquisition, this one, and a one that nobody's seen, maybe one that everybody wanted at the back of the mind, but yeah, I don't think we would ever thought about going for him. But I do think Leicester's sticky financial situation, Shelby's injury, the loan money coming in, it may align all the stars to be in a perfect position for us to pull this off. What would be your price to land him? If we put a number on it right now, what would you reckon Leicester would say, okay, let's do the deal?
Oh, it's hard to say because they might have a player, they've already got a player lined up, so you don't know how much they need for that player. But I think 50 with incentive, maybe some appearance incentives, or some if you get selected for the national team again, like maybe some like national team appearances as well. If we qualify for Europe, maybe there's a kicker in there. Like I think there's different ways you can do it. Just that's what a negotiation is, isn't it? You got to find out what they want, and then try and please them without ruining yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I reckon 45 plus bonuses to take it over 50, which will obviously be a club record, which is currently held by Big Joe. And I think we all anticipated the club record would go sooner rather than later with these new owners. And I'm more than happy enough for it to happen with James Maddison, that's for sure, if they can't put it off.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, one last question before we go, because we try to keep this a short one. Your percentage on what you think will happen of this one. Do you think it'll go through? And what's your percentage?
I don't. No, I'm the. If everyone's optimist, I'm the optimum pessimist. I don't believe anything. I don't believe anything until it actually happens, because, like, we've probably been linked to 100 players this transfer window, and if you believe that they're all coming, your head would be absolutely spinning off its shoulders by now. So until George or Keith, who else have we got? Fab, yeah. Until someone tweets that he's in town for a medical, or the clubs have agreed a fee, then I'll be going. At the moment, it's probably 30% because of I don't like to get my hopes up for anything. And you'll find that out probably in the pre-match previews, all that as well.
Well, we'll find out come next week when we do the Forest preview. But I'm going to go hover around 50%. I reckon it may be closer than we think, because normally when deals like this break, there's still negotiations going on. It obviously got knocked back. There's talks of us going back in for a second bid. Whether we will, we don't know, but I think we will on that side of things. And I think around about 50% it'll happen. It's going to be a brilliant signing if we can get through. Marquee signing, a record-breaking signing, and it's totally come out of the blue, and it's absolutely fantastic. Hopefully, we can get this one, and I hate to use this word, over the line, to go Pardew, the dick. But yeah, if we can get it, that would be sensational, and probably signing of the window in terms of Premier League players so far, I reckon.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been that much between Premier League clubs, has there? There's been a lot of most of the big money signings are actually overseas players coming. I think Sterling was probably the biggest one, the biggest domestic one anyway, like from club to club. So yeah, you probably how much was that? 50?
That was close, there or thereabouts. Yeah.
Well, you never know, but yeah, like I said, expect the worst.
Yeah.
So when the best happens, you feel a lot better than expecting the best, and you get the worst.
Absolutely. But we're just going to leave it there now. Again, promise for this to be a short one. Let us know in the comments below whether you think Maddison would be a great addition to the squad and what you think his chances are of arriving on Tyneside before the window is up. And do you think you would make the squad for the Forest game if we can get it done in time? Remember to follow us on the socials. We are on Twitter, Facebook. You've got us on the usual podcast. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thanks for Keegan for quickly diving on to do this one. This is, again, not something that we normally do, but we thought being a big breaking story with a potential record-breaking bid, we would get this one out there. So thanks for joining, Keegan.
Cheers,
I will
mate. Thanks for
see
having
you
me
on the next one.
Catch you, mate.
Cheers, mate. Thanks out.